Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick information if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, everyone. My name is Neeraj Kedia, and I've been working in this IT industry for more than 13 years now. So the main agenda for today's session, we are going to discuss on Automation Anywhere features, and the Automation Anywhere examples. So we are going to have a complete clarity on how the entire RPA as in robotic process automation, is conducted by using Automation Anywhere as well. So let's get started. So we know that automation has been into existence since 1920, but it has only gained popularity in the early 1990s itself. Now, as the word automation suggests, this tool allows us to automate multiple tasks, like we have data entry and voice processing, we have the screen scraping, we want to scrap data from the websites as well. So these kind of tasks can be easily automated by using by using any automation tool. And this is that process of automating is called as robotic process automation, where we can use this technology to automate a sequential task, a repetitive sequential task that has to be performed by humans. And Automation Anywhere is one of the leaders in the RPA market. So Automation Anywhere, as we discussed, is simply an RPA tool, which is used to provide its users scalable, secure, and resilient services. And this tool offers a 30-day free trial. So we can use this trial period to automate the task and then provide with us, and again, we can have the entire feeling of how the entire enterprise services is also going to look like. And Automation Anywhere offers better performance as it has the ability to integrate to different platforms and also scale simultaneously. So this tool is meant to be used in the enterprise level and is mainly designed for solving complex issues. Now we also have UiPath as one of the main, we can say the leader in the global RPA market. But UiPath, again, if you want to get started with some other alternatives, some good alternatives, so we can make use of Automation Anywhere. So Automation Anywhere, as we discussed, is one of the most popular RPA tools available. Now, if we talk about the entire features given to us by Automation Anywhere, then there are multiple features available. So for the first feature, as we know, is basically the ease of use, and it has a good market presence as well. So first of all, we have the logging. So using now we can log in each and every activity conducted by the bots as well, and that will by which user we can use it for scheduling tasks, for setting general properties, for using the filters, for debugging tasks, and to aid triggers. So these are the features offered under Automation Anywhere. Now, there are multiple examples of Automation Anywhere. And again, before we discuss on the examples, first of all, let's discuss on the entire architecture for Automation Anywhere as well. So Automation Anywhere follows a distributed architecture. And through this architecture, a centralized management is accomplished via Automation Anywhere console room. So the architecture of this tool is mainly segregated into bot creators and bot runners. So both of these components are connected to a control room, and then we can connect them together. For example, if we have to understand this by a simple event diagram. So let's say here we have bot creators. So let's say here we have bot, here we have bot creators. So here we have creators, and then here we may have bot runners. We may have what? We have bot runners on which the entire bot has to be executed. And again, we know that they cannot directly integrate with each other. So we need to have the entire request is going to flow from the control room, and then it is going to respond back by using the control room as well. And that exactly is what we can define as a part of Automation Anywhere architecture. So first of all, we have bot creators, as we discussed. So as the name suggests, for bot creators, they are used to create bots, and these are these desktop-based applications, or they may have the access to upload or download bots. And on configuring these bots for the control, like we say, for the control loop, multiple developers they can create individual task bot and they can execute them all the time at once. So we can connect them together by a single bot time, and then we can have it deploy for the entire execution. And then here we have the control room called as CR. So control room is the most popular component of the entire architecture because again it's a control room who decides how many how many nodes are going to be created and how they are going to be used for the auto scaling part. And those who are working in the creator section, like so again, the creators they always focus on the centralized management by like say we have users, we have the e-commerce section as well, and the control room where often deployment source control, and we can integrate that with the entire dashboard as easily as possible. For example, we are working as a data analyst company here, we are working for the automation part. We can easily automate the task by using the control room. So we can create a control room and then we can add systems to it. For example, let's say we want to execute the same task on multiple clusters or multiple systems. So we can install automation anywhere bots on that particular PC or system, we can say, and then we can let the control room carry on the entire automation purpose by using those systems. And that exactly is what we make use of control room. And there are two types of licenses available in the automation anywhere. Like we have the developer's license and then we have the running license. And then we have bot runners here. So what we have bot runners. So bot runners are used to execute the bots, and multiple bots can be executed in parallel and cannot update or create, or you can be used for automation. And they always run clients which are installed on Windows machines and come back with the execution log, which is used to control the rooms. So, but again, if we summarize all three components together, then once a developer creates a task and updates it, and again a user updates the control team can hereby schedule and execute these bots on the bot runners. All right. And let's say if we summarize all three components together, and then again we can once the developer creates a task bot and updates in the control room, so the control room can hereby schedule and execute these bots on the bot runners one by one. Now apart from the architecture, we have three main products of automation anyways. Let's first of all let's erase this up. So if we talk about the products, if we talk about automation anywhere products, then we have three products available with us. We have the IQ bots, we have IQ bots, and here we have bot insight, and third we have bot farm. We had bot farm. So IQ bots, or we can also call them as cognitive bots. We can these bots are going to perform just like human beings, and they are going to have features that are called features like self-learning, ability to work with the algorithm, the decision-making process, and subject matter expertise. They all are going to have that kind of skill set. And these bots are going to extract data from semi-structured and unstructured data, and then you are going to make use of semantic models to do so as a part of IQ bots. And then we have Bot Insights. So Bot Insight is basically a tool used to analyze the performance of each and every bot. Now with this product of Amazon, or we can say on the automation anywhere, so we can see the statistics and the graphs of the business by using Bot Insight. That means the performance of all the bots that we have currently created. And then we have bot farms. So bot farm allows us to create multiple bots based on the on-demand digital workforce. So this also provides robotic process automation as a service through the Automation Anywhere enterprise. And that exactly is what bot farm is all. And now to get started or to discuss further, we also have we also going to make use of multiple examples for Automation Anywhere. Like we have the Windows actions, mouse clicks, string operations, files and folders, web recorders, optical character recognition, keystrokes, stress sub services. So these all activities we can automate by using Automation Anywhere. So first of all, if we talk about Windows action, then we can consider a scenario where we want to get the title of an archive window. Now solution is going to drag the Windows actions to the workspace and then command and get after window title. So when we assign the variable to a store, then we are going to make use of this message box and then we are going to display the title as well. So before we work on these different examples, let me showcase you how we can install Automation Anywhere. So for the installation of Automation Anywhere, we can simply search for Automation Anywhere Community. So community is basically like not exactly like a feature, but here we have a community edition available from Automation Anywhere that we can get started with. So here on this page, we have to enter the credentials in terms of first name, last name, business email, country, region, phone number, the company name, the number of employees. We can enter all of these details and then we can get the access to work on the community edition with obviously with some limitations. And once this has been configured, then we can simply refer to the email that we may have received. So the email simply ensure that we do have the access to the bot. So let me showcase you how we can have the access to the bot. So in the mail that we are going to get, we're going to simply directly receive the credentials. Now using that credential, we have to log into the account and then we will be able to work with the community edition, or we can start working with the bot store as we discussed. We can start working with the analytics or the IQ bot. So if you want to work on the robotic process automation, we can click on create a bot. So let's say here we name the bot as Edureka. And here we can define the description default. Since this is not default name, so here we are going to see a default description also added here. So we can add any description or we can keep it to create and edit for now. Okay, Edureka already exists. So let's say we define it as a simple bot itself. Click on create and edit. So there are multiple problem statements that we have that we can work with. So like we have the Windows action, and then we can work on another problem statement where we can consider a scenario where we want to resize a window, where the solution can be, first of all, we are going to drag the Windows actions to the workspace and choose a resize window command. And then we are going to select the window, click on capture, and then drag the mouse over the window to choose our desired dimensions. And then there can be multiple other problem statements, like we have mouse click based on mouse click. So the problem statement is we have to automate the task of clicking at a specific position on the application. So here we can drag the insert mouse clicks and set the window, and then we are going to click on capture and hover a mouse over where we want to click, and then we can save it. For example, let's say if we come back, so here we have this is the entire tab. So first of all, once we sign up, we are going to look at the home page. And to start working on the RPA, here we can click on the activity, or here we can work on dashboard where we can see the list of all the bots that has been created. To create a bot, we can click on create bot, or see the list of all the bots available. We can see these all bots are currently available. And now we want to start with a simple bot. So here we can open this up and then we can modify. We can see what all parameters have been defined and how we can modify it. So first of all, we have actions. So in actions, we have multiple set of actions already available that we can choose from. So for example, we want to read a CSV file. So here we can search for CSV, and here we can see here we have the CSV open, close, or read as well. If you want to work on scrapping the data here, right? So here we have the screen scrapping, we have the script, or we have a capture area, capture desktop, or capture window also available. Depending upon the requirement, we can choose the actions, or we can choose the activities accordingly. So let's say here we want to insert the mouse clicks, right? So here we have multiple clicks also available, like we have the mouse clicks are also available, like we have the mouse click. Now here we have to simply define the entire flow. First of all, here we can, let's say here we want to start with a click here. We can drag the click here and then we can define. For example, we want to capture one particular coordinate in the entire screen, then we can define the click automation as well. We can define the entire click automation. That means where exactly we want the click to be captured so that on the basis of the x-axis, on the basis of the y-axis, we can define the entire click, and then once the click has been captured, then we can start automating the entire process by defining all the parameters as a part of the examples. So we can you can take the help of any of the references. So let's open one application so that we can use that application as a reference. All right, so here we can import the mouse clicks, and now here we have the capture coordinates. For example, suppose here we can connect to the computer. So basically when we are running the automation, we do need to have one desktop client also installed in a system. So here we can see here we have automation anywhere, remote agent already available. So remote agent ensures that we are having the remote agent so that it can connect to our desktop based solution, and then it can allow us to run whatever script we are going to create here. The script on the given system is going to be deployed by using the agent itself. So I guess the package has been corrupted. So again, we can try reinstalling the entire bot. All right, so let's set it. So let's set the entire bot here, what to insert in X and Y coordinate. Virani, so basically here we can start with the screen capture. So what screen capture will do, capture is going to allow us to place the mouse pointer anywhere we want, and then screen capture is going to exactly capture the area which needs to be clicked, or whichever area we want, or whatever event we want to define, and then that's how it is going to be captured. But for that, we do need to have the access of the remote bot agent installed in our system on which we want this bot activity to be executed. So currently we are trying to connect from the computer altogether. So now this has been already installed. So now it is being set up. So once it has been set up, then we are going to connect this with the system so that we can see how exactly we can make use of it. So we do need to have an extension also configured, because again, at the end, once the configuration is done, because the browser needs to also support the configuration itself, right? So as you can see here, bot agent has been installed, the extension has also been enabled, and now it is going to automatically get connected to the computer. So we can define a nickname. For example, suppose here we can name this as our home PC. We can define for home for a single user, we can define for multiple users, capture coordinate. And now the bot is going to run on a system, and it is going to allow us to capture the coordinate as per the requirement. Now, depending upon whichever activity that we have chosen, it is going to download all the dependency. For example, we have multiple dependency for screen capture, for the data capture on the coordinates as well. So if there are some dependencies available, then it is going to record accordingly. So as you can see now, the entire screen capture has been enabled. So now let's say we want to click on a certain section. For example, we want to click on this section here. So here we can capture, and now as you can see here, this recording capture is going to be finalized when where exactly this entire button should be clicked on. And then once we execute the script, for example, let's say when we are trying to submit a form by using automation anywhere, we are trying to submit a form by using the automation anywhere, then we can use that section. For example, suppose if you are going to fill up a forms, and here we can choose the interactive form, or we can choose the Excel as well. Again, how exactly we want to fill the forms accordingly, depending upon the form fields that we are going to specify. And then once we are done, we can simply save it, or suppose we want to bug it. So here we can, let's say, if we want to open up a new drive here, right? So here we can define a new drive. If we want to run it, then the entire bot is going to be deployed on the new system. So first of all, this is going to come to notify the device that this action is going to be performed. And as you can see, the same action has been performed automatically where the automation anywhere bot was closed, and now we have reopened it. So we can define the action resize, we can define the mouse list where exactly we want the mouse to be clicked. We can define the string operations as well, where we can automate the task of comparing two different strings together. So for example, if you do want to compare two different strings together, then we can simply drag the string operations and then we can choose the compare command. So for example, to work with that, so here we can come back to the automation anywhere bot. We can remove this. Let's say we want to delete this action. We can delete this. And here we can search for an action called as string operations. You can search for string. Now here we have string operations, and now here we can choose any particular string operation that we want to work with. Like to string, we have datetime, number, or string itself. Let's suppose we want to compare. So here we can simply drag and drop compare as well. Now here we can define source string, and here we can define the find string. So basically, in the string one section, we are going to mention the variable which has a first string, and this the string two section mention the variable which has a second string. So for example, suppose if we want to define the source string as welcome to automation, we are learning automation anywhere. So again, automation is something that we are going to find, and welcome to automation anywhere training. So this is what we define here, and here we can save it. Now we want to run this entire script here. We can simply, now in case there are some errors, we may have missed out on some components, and we can simply refer to the error section where it is going to simply define, okay, how exactly we are going to find whatever we need to define here. We can define multiple values, as in what kind of value we want to search. We can define for enter string, we want to for clipboard. So if we have copied any value here, we can define the copied value, or we can define what kind of value we want to enter here. We want to copy paste the clipboard, whatever has been copied in the system at the point of execution of this particular tab. We can define the clipboard. So suppose if the clipboard does contain, let's suppose here we define the clipboard. So the clipboard does contain the string that we are going to compare. We can simply see that particular clipboard to be compared here once we are trying to execute this. And then we can define if it is going to be a regular expression or non-regular expression as per requirement, we can define accordingly. And then after string operations, now we can automate the task of replacing a substring from a string as well. So we can assign the source string, so you can find and replace values to 2 or 3 variables. We can drag the string operations and choose the replace command. So for example, let's say we want to replace a string here. So we can come back here, and in the same string operations, we can search for string. Let's say we remove this current action that we defined here, and in the same search bar, we can look for string. And under compare, we also have replace. As we have replaced, we have reverse. So we can simply drag and drop the replace section here. Again, same way we can define the source string, and then we can define the find string as well. So that means what exactly we are going to replace this with. For example, here we can find the source string, as in we want to define welcome to RPA training, and we are going to find the string as suppose RPA. And now we don't want to match the cases. If you do want to match a case, we can define match case starting from, we can, and then count from, and then we want to replace that with, suppose, let's say automation anywhere as a string that you want to replace this with. If you wanted to define dynamic placement, then here we can simply click on insert value, and if we want looking to insert the clipboard value that we may have on the system, we can define the clipboard value, or here we can enter a string, or we can add a separator or tab as per the requirement. All right. So depending upon the requirement, okay, we can define, okay, we want to replace this with automation anywhere. So we can define the value that we are going to enter. Then we can simply run the entire script. Again, once it is done, we can run the entire script here. It is again going to notify the device that the current script is going to be executed, and then it is going to run on the local system or any agent that we have connected with the current system. And once it has been done, okay, it is going to close. So basically what we do, we simply use it for whenever we are working on replacing large batches. For example, we have PDF documents, we have the financial document, we have any documents where we need to update the date, where we need to update the client's name, where we need to update any single string, then we can make use of this replace string to have the automation done on large number of PDF and the Word document that we may have the access to. So we can use this automation to run these so we can execute the entire process of replacing each and every string with the given value, especially for large scale documents. All right. Next, we have the files and folders. So we can consider a scenario where we want to move files from source to destination. So here we have a command available called, we already have an activity available called as copy folder command to the workspace. And then we can mention the source folder, destination folder, and then we can copy the entire folder from the source to destination. So for that, we can go back to a copy folder command. Let's do that. So here we can search for copy folder. So here we can define copy from, or here we can define copy to as a part of the command that we want to define. For example, here we can define copy from. Let's delete the previous action. So here we can define copy from, and then we define copy to. So first of all, in terms of the copy from, here we define, okay, problem assignment string. Okay, where exactly we want this one to be copied from. We can define the action as per requirement. Again, in terms of moving any particular folder altogether, we can search for the folder directory as well. So let's do one thing. Let's keep things simple. We can delete these actions, and here we can search for the folder operations. Under folder, we can define copy, move, create, unzip, delete. For example, let's say we want to unzip any file here. We can simply click on unzip, and here we can define folder from where we want to unzip the entire size, the date, and then how exactly we want to start unzipping the files here from the given folder. If we are going to copy the file, if you are going to zip the file here, we can simply drag and drop zip, and then we can define the files to be compressed, the file types to compress, and then we can define the destination as well. For example, we may have a small folder with us. All right, so let's say here we have this folder by the name of RPA projects. Now we want to compress these files. So here we can copy the path here that you want to make use of, and we are trying to automate things. We can define the folders to copy. Now all the folders under the C drive, under users, the username, and the RPA projects, we want to compress these files. And then we can define destination. Let's say we want to compress them under a folder by the name of, suppose, compressed. Here we can define compressed. So we want them to be compressed under this folder. The output should be under the specified folder, or we want to be specific, then here we can click on browse, and then we can set the file path. For example, the file path should be under the C drive, under users, and here we want to specify this file path. So we have defined the path as idea projects.zip. So that means the output is going to be compressed under idea projects.zip. And again, if there is already a file available, then we can check this box. That means again, update only if new files available, or we can delete the original files if we want. And then we can choose what kind of compression we want, normal, and then we can simply click on save. We can find save. Now we can run this bot. So this bot is going to pick the file from this folder. It is going to compress it, and then under the given path, it is going to save it by the name of idea projects.zip. So let's wait for this automation to happen. So all the dependencies are going to be downloaded if we are trying to work on that particular project. If you're going to run that particular project by using the system for, you can say, for the first time. So now if we come back, can we see this? In the compressed folder, we already have idea projects already compressed, containing all the folders that we defined here. Can you see this? All of these have automatically been compressed where we have specified them under the idea projects library. So the compressed file also contains all the projects, which has been successfully automated by using automation anywhere. And there are other processes which can automate as well. Like we have files and folders we have seen where we can drag the zip file commands into the workspace. We can simply compress it like we have done. We can also work with the web recorders as well. That means here we can use the web recorders to record any activity as part of the requirement. Or we can also record the keystrokes. We can record the Excel automation as well. And then we can automate the process of PDF as well. Like if you want to read the PDFs, if you want to work on the web recorders, then we can record those activities as per the requirement. For example, we have web recorders. So we can go to the web recorder activity and then we can choose the extract table command. So let's say if you want to extract any table here on any of the website that we have seen, then we can find the extract table options, and then using that, we will be able to extract the entire table content accordingly as per the requirement. So for example, we can come back, we can close this. Now, if we are going to work on the recorder, so here we can search for the same recorder activity. So in a recorder, we can see here we have capture, and again here we can drag and drop the capture statement here. So let's say we remove this. Now in the capture, we can define we are going to capture a window. Again, which window we are going to capture, currently active, desktop, or taskbar. So if you want to capture the currently active, here we can define the capture object, that means which particular object we want to capture. Again, this is going to trigger the entire object, and now we can see which object we are going to capture here. And here we have multiple highlights. That means given on a given page here. So again, which object we are going to capture? We want to capture, suppose, let's say, the define tool manager. So here we can define capture, and let's say we have defined one particular component here as part of the entire control for GoToWebinar that we have. So here we can see the entire element that we currently capture. We can define the path, the description. If you want to have a complete control, then you can customize this. And then we can define action. That means we want to click on it. We want to append the text. We want to left click on it. We want to right click on it. What kind of property we want to define. What kind of action we want to be executed once this element has been selected. So depending upon the requirement, we can choose the interactivity, whatever and however we want. So thank you so much for joining, guys, and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.